Some people are particularly afraid of rejections in relationships, especially in romantic relationships. But the truth about rejection is that it hardly affects you unless you interpret it as being closely tied to your personal value. If you are worthy of being loved, being paid attention to, and being taken seriously. The degree of fear and pain is closely tied to your perceptual model over the years, like how you see the world and how you define yourself. So when someone rejects you, maybe because they're not in the best mood, maybe they're not available at the moment, maybe they are afraid of intimacy, they are afraid of getting close and exposing their flaws. Even if people do treat you harshly, it's just more about their personalities and their insecurities projected onto you and the world, meaning that you may be the one that is triggering their insecurities and their pain. That's why they are treating you so harshly. But if you take all those actual rejections or perceived rejections indiscriminately to your heart, you beat yourself up with self-doubts. It might mean that there's hidden wounds waiting for you to touch. But most importantly, chances for you to know yourself and heal. So in this video, I'm going to talk about rejection sensitivity. For the average person, probably it's hard for them to understand, why it's such a big deal, why we're making a fuss about it. But for people with difficult childhood, for people who have gone through attachment trauma or complex trauma from childhood, the pain is real, and we're really struggling mentally and physiologically. Don't be ashamed, because rejection itself does evoke endless, horrifying, disastrous consequences in our mind, in our imagination. There's much more than just fear of rejection. There's also deeply seated fear of abandonment. There's also self-criticism and shame that are fueling our fear of rejection. So that's why it's so horrifying for us. When I was a little kid, when my mom was still alive, I was highly attuned and sensitive to her emotions and needs because she was sick and she was highly depressed. So my sense of identity was evolving around her being happy, making her satisfied. So when she's satisfied, then I'm okay. I could be okay to explore my world. But whenever she conveys this tiny bit sense of impatience, anger, or unresponsiveness, my anxiety would be through the roof. I couldn't focus on anything outside of her. If you had been constantly neglected, emotionally abandoned, constantly put down, criticized, shamed, then parental rejection becomes our self-rejection. It creates this highly critical inner critic in our mind. It tricks us to believe in a lot of things that aren't true. Like, if others are unhappy, it's my fault. I need to change. Everybody has to like me. If one person doesn't like me, then I'm not okay. There must be something wrong with me. So if I feel different from everybody else, it's my fault. I'm a weirdo. I'm not normal. We rely so much on, if not exclusively, on the outside world to soothe our anxiety. So much that a tiny bit of rejection or disappointments or any failed attempts to meet our needs in our terms, then we feel terribly hurt, humiliated, and disappointed that it could directly be elevated to this serious conclusion that, see, nobody wants me, I'm seriously flawed, I'm screwed up. Another thing that makes us rejection sensitive is that not only the constant need for reassurance and validation from the outside, but we have incredibly strict and highly unattainable standards for them. For example, we expect others to read our mind without us asking, or else we feel like they're only doing it because we asked. We expect others to meet our needs on our terms. If they're doing it their way, no, you don't love me. We expect others to love us and provide for us without asking anything in return, or else we feel like they'll only be there for us because they need something from us, because of our appearance, our caring for them, our money, or our social status. Because deep down, we don't really believe that we could be loved. Plus, we go into those situations with the expectation that we're going to be rejected. Hence, we might ask something angrily. We might reject others before they have a chance to say yes or no. we may go into the situations with strong defense, which could actually increase the likelihood of us being rejected. Not to mention with all those years of accumulation of buried emotions like shame, fear, anger, loneliness, desperation, helplessness, all those things could cause us to act out in that moment and have emotional outbursts that could be highly disruptive and explosive. So in order to heal from rejection sensitivity, it's very important for us to be aware of how much importance we're putting on others' affection towards us. Like, you could ask yourself, why whenever they are impatient with me, somehow it becomes my fault? Why when others fail to read my mind and disappoint me, I go to shame, I go to dissociation, I blame myself? Why? Why this person so incredibly important that I torture myself over him or her? So all those questions can just bring you some awareness of how much of your sense of identity is tied to the external world, because it's dangerous to solely rely on the outside to soothe our anxiety, to define us, because without them, we wouldn't know who we are. We wouldn't know, what we like, how we're gonna live. Also because we're so used to being emotionally rejected and abandoned when we're children, we almost get programmed by this expectation to be rejected in any kind of situations. We come up with protective strategies. We avoid people, we avoid situations, which now we may understand as social anxiety because we constantly carry the fear of being not liked, of being judged, of being disapproved. And whenever we are not able to avoid things driven by the need to be liked and approved by others, we people please. We reflexively take others' stands, agree on everything they say, please others, appease the situation for them, so that we could avoid the risk of being different and being rejected. In romantic relationships, we walk on eggshells around our partners. Everything they say, their emotions, their facial expression, their tone, behavior change could cause us to have this dread of being abandoned and left. I wanted to recommend 2 books to you that helps you do better emotional regulation when you're being triggered. The first book is by Matthew McKay. It has step-by-step guide for you to cultivate distress tolerance skills, which in my opinion is the most important skill you could have if you wanted to heal from the roots and build internal safety. And the second book is by Sherry Van Dijik. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm gonna also put the links of those books down in the description box. You can check them out later. Emotional regulation is such an important thing for all of us, especially for people with childhood trauma, because this is exactly what we lacked, what we weren't able to build up at that age. But now the good news is we can reparent ourselves through the process. If you're interested in the psychology behind no reply anxiety, I'm gonna put my video up here somewhere. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.